Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Namaste once again. So Adi Shankara is now taking us into Atma Anatma Viveka portion. It is the starting point of Vedanta. Unless, as we have seen in Tattva Bodha itself, first requirement for a student is what? It starts, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti starts from Viveka. First is Viveka. So what kind of Viveka? Atma Anatma Viveka. That there are two things in this entire prapancha. One is Atma or Brahman, and everything else is Tadanyat Sarvam Anatma Eva. Right? So this is what Adi Shankara in this Atma Bodha also is slowly taking us. And he has been actually trying to explain what is this Atma, Anatma first. And he has used the terms like Upadhi and Upahita. Upahitam, of course, he has not used, but when you use Upadhi, the other part is Upahita. So this he is trying to explain to us that all these Anatma we are seeing is all Upadhis, especially is starting from macro level, coming down to micro level, and coming even in micro level, our own body-mind complex. That he came. And Sharira Trayam, each Sharira, Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, and Karana Shariram, how each one of them is a Upadhi, and which is different from Atma, he established. This is what till last class we have seen. Now in the next sloka, he is again explaining the same concept from a slight different standpoint. Because earlier we saw Sharira Trayam, now the same concept he is going to explain from the standpoint of Pancha Kosha, the 5 koshas, right? As in the sense it is the same, but these are the two ways the Upanishads and also other Vedanta scriptures try to identify the Anatma from Atma, especially when it is a very close. That is the Sharira Trayam and Panchakosha. Again, we have seen this in Tattva Bodha, but here he is again bringing the topic and trying to explain. It is not just the Sharira Trayam, but also we must understand as a Panchakosha also, that he explains. I will read the mantra, this sloka, and then you can follow if you can possible. Then we'll see the word meanings. 15, verse number 15. Panchakoshadi yogena tattanmaya iva sthitah Shuddhatma Nilavat Bhati yogena spatiko yata. There is a Shuddhatma Nila Vastradi Yoga. So not what. Shuddhatma Nila Vastradi Yogena Spatiko Yata. What a doubt. Shuddhatma Nilavat Bhati means what? It doesn't make any sense. So it's a mistake. Okay. So, as I said, this confusion between Atma and Anatma, he is now trying to explain from a Panchakosha standpoint. Right. Same, Sharira Trayam from a different standpoint. Sharira Trayam, he explained it from the point of view of subtlety. That is, Stula Shariram is gross, Sukshma Shariram is subtler, and Karana Shariram is the subtlest. So from that, point of view of grossness and subtlety, the Sharira Trayam as Anatma was explained. Now Panchakosha, they are from the standpoint of functionality. We have seen Panchakoshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya koshas. So all these are from the point of view of the function of the body, mind and body-mind complex. Right. So here the Upadhi is explained as Panchakosha or 5 divisions. Right. And here, as I said, Shankaracharya doesn't enumerate all these 5 koshas. He just says Panchakosha, right? Panchakoshadi yogena. He says, he doesn't say what are the Panchakoshas, but we know what are the Panchakoshas. Let us just remind ourselves briefly what are they. So, Annamaya Kosha, what is that? Eat, eat, and eat. Annamaya. Right. So, we have seen Annarasannaiva Annarasannaiva Bhutva Annarasannaiva Vriddhihi Prapya Annarupa Prithivyaam Yad Viliyate Tat Annamaya Kosha. Definition in Tattva. Right. So this Annamaya Kosha has to absorb the Annam and keep the Sthulam and Sukshma Shariram intact. They have to take care because Annam is the fuel. Without that, we cannot, the body and the whole thing will not survive. Right. So that's why in English it is keeping the body and soul together. Right. That is the food, Annamaya Kosha. Then Pranamaya Kosha we have seen, the Pancha Pranas, physiological system. Right. And Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, and Samana. 5 physiological systems. Right. Respiration, excretion, circulation, digestion, and reversal system, reversing, which is also responsible for death of a person. Right. So that is the 5 pranamaya. So this becomes the second kosha, Annamaya, then Pranamaya. Then third one is Manomaya kosha, the emotional function. Then Vijnanamaya kosha, the intellectual function. Then ultimately Anandamaya kosha, the happiness function, sleeping very happily. Yanundru Mariyen Paraparamenu Tunguroma, that is what is this Anandamaya kosha. Right. So even though here 5 koshas are stated, we have seen earlier that actually Annamaya corresponds to Stula Shariram. Then this Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya, they correspond to Sukshma Shariram. And Anandamaya corresponds to Karana Shariram. So when we make this kind of a correlation, we understand that this Panchakosha and this Sharira Trayam are nothing but the same thing which is being talked about in different language or different terminologies being used. Right. And here also he is pointing out these Panchakoshas also, even if you take the functions, not just the subtlety or grossness point of view, even if you take the various functions of this body, mind, sense complex, They are also upadhis only. We must understand. But what happens? Because of this confusion between the upadhi and upahitam and the superimposition, this adhyasa, we take all those functions as our functions. Isn't it? That is what is happening. So that is what he is explaining, right? So that is what he is saying. Pancha koshadi yogena. Yogena here means tadatmyena. Ajnana krita tadatmyena, right? So yogam we can get sambandha hai or samsarga hai, we can take the meaning as yoga. And why ajnana krita sambandha hai? Because Atma as such is asanga. It cannot have tadatmya with anything, it cannot have any sanyoga with anything. But since sanyoga is happening apparently, it can be only because of ajnanam. Same logic which was earlier there, right? This mula vidya, that is what is the ajnanam, this maya shakti which is there in us. That is what is creating this confusion between this panchakosha and our anatma, atma, right? Because in Shastra, there are different kinds of sambandhas which are talked about, right? There is what is called Sayoga Sambandha. Another is called Samavaya Sambandha, Swarupa Sambandha. So many different sambandhas are talked about. He is saying very simply, Yogena means none of these kind of sambandhas can be possible. In fact, in Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, he talks about all these various kinds of sambandhas. Such a beautiful Adhyasa Bhashyam he has written. He picks up each and every, because these sambandhas are all based on Nyaya Shastra. So he takes up each one and says that how that sambandha is not possible, how that sambandha is not possible with Atma. He discusses in the Adhyasa Bhashyam very, very detailed manner. Very beautiful text. So what does this Ajnanam do? What is not there, it makes us appear as if it is. This is what is the role of Ajnanam. Isn't it? So, just like the rope snake example we have seen, if you do not know the real nature of the rope, that it is a rope, not knowing is Ajnanam, ignorance. What happens? You see a snake on that rope. So snake is the upadhi and the rope is the upahita. Similarly, since we do not know our own real nature as Satchidananda Swarupa, all these functions of our Panchakosha we are superimposing on our Atma and say, I am hungry. Hunger is a function of Pranamaya Kosha, isn't it? Or aham mooda hai, I am a fool. It's a function of Vijnanamaya Kosha, foolishness or intelligence. I am upset, emotionally upset. Function of Manomaya Kosha, but we say I am upset. So all the functions of the Panchakosha we are superimposing upon ourselves, right? So Atma cannot have Panchakosha Yoga. It cannot have. But it is taking place because of what? Anyonya Avivekena. Anyonya Tadatmya Sambandhena. Anyonyasmin. Anyonya Makatam. Anyonya Dharmascha. Adhyasya. Itaretara Vivekena. So we have seen that, right? This sloka. So I am Satyam. This Sharira Upadhi is Mithya. Satyam and Mithya can never have any sambandha. But still, out of ignorance, the association gets formed, right? So Then what happens? That's what he says. Tattanmaya. So Tattanmaya means Tat Tat Upadhimaya. Tanmayatvam means close identification with something, very intimate identification. Tanmaya. For example, in a movie, we see somebody, the hero is struggling. I mean, there is a lot of fight going on, something, some very emotional scene is there. We feel that we are actually struggling with the hero. And that is what all these movie fellows do. In order to keep you spellbound with the movie story, they create all these kind of scenes. They are very good psychologists, these movie producers. They know what will move the mind, emotionally move the audience. So they will introduce such scenes and all that. The audience will feel that I am undergoing all those things. So this is Tanmaya. So this Tattanmaya means that Upadhi Maya, the qualities of that Upadhi, the attributes of this Upadhi, Tattanmaya Bhavati, that is, it happens, right? So it is not Vastavikam, but it is Adhyasikam. That we must understand. It's not actually happening, but it's only because of the superimposition. He then refers to Shuddhatma. Now, Shuddhatma, what is this? We have seen Atma Brahman. This Shuddha Atma, what is this Shuddha Atma? Shuddham, here we have to understand as Asangam. Right? So, Asanga Atma is what we have to understand as Shuddha. And once we understand Shuddham as Asanga, we will understand that here the use of the word Yogena is a Mithya Yogena. Because he doesn't make it very clear in the sloka. He is very brilliantly put it. He talks about Yogena, doesn't talk whether it is Mithya Yoga or Satya Yoga, but then he qualifies it Shuddha Atma. So you have to understand Shuddha Atma means Asanga Atma. Because it is Asanga Atma he is referring to, that yoga has got to be, with the yoga that he is talking about is Mithya Yoga. And it is Mithyatvam because it is caused by ignorance, avidya, ajnanam. So all this, beautifully connects, and we have to have some background in order to understand all this. That is why I don't take, I didn't feel like teaching Tattva Bodha to totally new students. Sorry, as Atma Bodha. Tattva Bodha one needs to first study. Once you have some background of Tattva Bodha, then only Atma Bodha will be easier to understand. Otherwise, all this Tattva Bodha thing has to be explained when we are teaching Atma Bodha. So that is the beauty. Here certain messages Adi Shankara gives in a very subtle form, and we need to be intelligent to understand. And our intelligence we get from our gurus. Our gurus have understood and told us, so that is why we are able to understand it in this particular manner. Okay. So Mithya Yogena, that is what he is saying. Because of Mithya Yoga, the Shuddha Atma appears to take all these Shuddhatma Tattanmaya Iva Stitaha. Again, the Iva word is a very important word in Vedanta. Iva means as though it is not real. We must always keep this in mind. That in Vedanta, whenever we are talking, it is all as though. Iva, right? So, Shuddhatma Tattanmaya Iva Stitaha. So, Atma appears to be in the form of the Upadhi itself, right? So, up to this, he has conveyed the idea. How this Panchakosha attributes, the Atma is taking on its own, even though this Atma is Shuddha Atma, Asanga Atma, because of this Tadatmyam, because of this Ajnana Kritam, this is happening. This is much less good. Then he comes to the example. He says, Neela Vastradi Yogena Spatikaha Yata Tattanmayo Bhavati. Another example, we use the crystal and red flower. Here he says Neela Vastradi Yogena Spatikam. Right? Spatikam also basically is a type of crystal only. I don't know whether exactly it is crystal or a different type of crystal. So Neela Vastra Yogena Neela Maya has Spatika. The Spatika looks blue when it is associated with a blue dress, Neela Vastra, right? Neela Vastram is Naivyam. Okay. And you know what is Pita Vastram? Paityam. Okay. All very funny pratyayas are there. Anyhow. So if you take the spatikam near a Neela Vastra, the spatikam will appear blue. If you take it near a Pita Vastra, it will appear yellow. But here, of course, he talks about Neela Vastra Yogena. So, say example, we don't need to go deep into the example. We all understand what is his meaning. So here, this Panchakoshadi, he has actually given from another standpoint of Panchakoshas, how this Atma is Asanga and how, because of what reason this Tadatmyam is taking place, this superimposition is taking place, right? So, till now, this Anyonya Aviveka, that is Atma Anatma, Kshetran Kshetrajna, Sharira Shariri, Deha Dehi, all this Viveka was being discussed. Satyam, Mithya, subject, object, all this was being discussed, has been talked about, right? And which is what is the samsara karanam. Which is again go back to original where we started. What is the karanam for this samsara, this bondage, the bandhanam? It is all this anyonya aviveka, the aviveka between the absolute reality and what is a relative reality. Paramartha Satyam and Vyavaharika Satyam. That because of the lack of understanding or lack of discrimination, all our samsara problems are arising. This is the background. So now, if you remember in the 14th shloka, he said, he made an indication. Upadhi Tridayat Anyam Atmanam. Right? So their indication is that this Atma is different from the Upadhi Trayam. There we were talking about the Sharira Trayam. So he just gave an indication that this Atma is different. So now from the next shloka, 16th shloka onwards, he is now dealing with the process of, because he had said that if Atma is different and this superimposition is taking place, and because of that the samsara bondage is taking place, now, and that samsara bondage is, all this is happening because of ajnanam, right? Now, what can actually remove this ajnanam? Only jnanam. What is that jnanam? How to attain that jnanam? There cannot be a physical separation of Atma and Anatma. Correct. We cannot say, okay, I now understand that the Atma is separate from Anatma. I am now going to physically separate the Anatma from Atma. What will happen? Atma will go away. So that's not possible. So the separation has got to be done, but it has to be done cognitively. The separation has to happen in our understanding. Once we understand that this is false, then it won't trouble us. Isn't it? Till we have this confusion that it is not false, it will trouble us. That's what happens with children. when children fall down, small children, I'm talking about 1-2 years, just started walking and all, then fall down with a heavy thud and start crying, oh, and all. What is the child thinking? The child is thinking that the pain has caused because of the floor. Because it fell on the floor has caused the pain. What we do, we know that the pain and floor are two different things. But we will still go and hit the floor and tell the child, okay, I have punished the floor, no, you stop crying. So what is happening there? We know in our understanding, we are not exactly separately hitting the floor or something. Floor won't feel anything. But in our mind, in our cognition, we know that by doing this, the child will keep quiet. Because in the mind of the child, this confusion is there. But in our mind, there is no confusion. Similarly, Atma, Anatma, Viveka, we do it in our mind, the effect will be the same. In fact, we will stop or reduce substantially giving attention to Anatma. Once we understand that my real Swarupa is Atma, and because of this confusion and this superimposition, all this problem is coming. Once you reduce paying attention or taking Anatma seriously, your samsara problem also you will find will get reduced. So eventually, when you really progress further in this line, when you do the Mahavakya Vichara and all that, and then completely understand without any doubt what is being conveyed by Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi, you will totally stop paying any attention to Anatma. You will then be understanding yourself only as Atma or Brahman, and then you will be abiding in that understanding always. Anatma is there, projection of Maya, let it be there. So far as I am concerned, I am totally asangaha. I have nothing to do with this Anatma, including our own body-mind complex. We must remember that always in mind. You can have no sangatvam with anything else in the world, including your relations and all that. You can say, oh, I am asangaha and all that. But the problem comes only with our body-mind complex. To say that my body, my mind, my sukshma sharira, my karna sharira, I am asangaha, it takes a lot of effort. And lot of sadhanas also. Whatever is prescribed in the Vedanta, we have to do the full package, full course we have to do, including Nididhyasana, right? So that is what it is. So the next mantra onwards, he is now going to deal with this separation of Atma and Anatma. How to go about it? I will read the mantra. Vapustushadibhikkoshaihi yuktam yuktyatvaghatatāh atmanamantaram shuddham vivijyatandulam yatha. Nice example. He again comes up with a brilliant example, right? I will first deal with the example because that's what he starts with. Tushadibihi koshaihi, right? Vapuhu. Vapuhu means, excuse me. Vapuhu means sharira. Okay. We'll leave the Vapuhu for the present now. We will deal with Tushadibihi koshaihi, right? Tushadibihi means Tushadibihi koshaihi yuktam, he says, right? The second line. Yeah. So Tushadibihi means the husk. Tandulam means rice, right? And the cover which is there on the rice, the husk, what we call nellu, that is called tusha. That cover is called tusha. The husk, what we call, from where the paddy comes. So now, the tandulam, the rice which is inside the tusha is useful to us. But is the tushaha useful to us in terms of our eating and all? In fact, it is a dukkha hetu. If you put that in your mouth, that sharp edges of that husk will cut your tongue and it will prick your mouth. So that tushaha is not useful, but the tandulam which is there inside the tushaha is very useful. This is the example he is taking up to show how the Atma is useful, but the Anatma is like this tushaha. Like that is the basic, very shortly he gives that example. Right. So for that reason, can we throw away the entire paddy? No. We have to learn to separate the tushaha from the tandulam, take the tandulam, and then the tusha we can throw or burn or whatever it is, we can do that, right? So the external covering, which is the koshaha means covering, right? And not one cover, we are talking about 5 covers. That covering has to be removed. And then, like, once you have removed the tusha and then you get the tandulam, once you remove this panchakosha cover, you will get the Atma. That's what he says, right? And how to take out that? In the case of tandulam, we will pound the husk, isn't it? So we will pound, and then the rice will separate, and then we will filter it or whatever it is, clean it, and then remove the husk and take the rice away. That's what we do. So this pounding is called avagata, right? Vrihin avahanti. So avagata or what you can call avahananam is pounding, right? So by a process of pounding, the tandulam, the rice is separated from the husk. The rice is taken and the husk is thrown away, right? So one is upadeyam and another is heyam. Heyam is to be thrown away and upadeyam is to be kept. So tandulam, the rice is the upadeyam and tushadibihi is the heyam, right? And tandulam is antaha and tushadibihi is bahihi. See how this example beautifully is connecting with Atma and Anatma, with the Atma and the Panchakoshas. Atma is antaha, this is tandulam. Tushadibihi is bahihi, like the Panchakoshas are bahihi, right? So antaha means what is inside. So antastam tandulam upadeyam bahista tushadibihi heyam. We understand that, and then correspondingly we understand the tandulam as Atma and tushadibihi as Panchakoshas. We will understand what is heyam and what is upadeyam. That is the beauty of this example, right? So, like the rice has got a husk, which serves the purpose for the rice to grow and mature. The husk is not totally useless, right? It has a role to play. It plays that role and then it is removed. Similarly, our Panchakoshas also have a role to play. Asti, Jati, Vardate, Viparinamate, all these, changing Panchakoshas. They have a role to play. But after that role is over, they also need to be thrown away. That is what this example is indicating, right? And we cannot take the husk has to be real and start cooking the husk. That won't work. So similarly, all these upadhis cannot be taken as real, and then if you do that, you will suffer. That's all it is, the result. So what Shankaracharya is doing, he is doing a moha mudgaraha. Mudgaraha means this, a long hammer, wooden hammer, which they pound the rice. Now one needs to be very careful. While pounding the rice, that is varal valakkai that valakkai, wooden valakkai. You have to be very careful to apply the right kind of pressure. If you apply more pressure, the rice will also get powdered. So it's a very expert process is involved. Similarly, this Atma Anatma Viveka also, expert process is involved. You need to understand. That is why you have to go to a guru who will actually teach you how to do it. If you start doing it without any training from a guru, you will pound the rice and it will all come up, become arishi podi inside the tushadivi, right? So even though here Adi Shankara is referring to pounding, this is a pounding of a different nature. We have to understand. So see, in the case of a rice and paddy, the sambandha is real, at least the same degree of reality. Right? Vastavika sambandha. But whereas in the case of Atma and Anatma or Panchakosha or Shariratrayam, the sambandha is what? It is a mithya sambandha. That difference we must understand. So here it is not through a karma that you can separate. Another very beautiful point he makes here. Because there were, during his time, this ideology was very prevalent. Jnana karma samuchaya. By doing karmas, you will get jnana yoga. And Shankaracharya says no. Karma has got no role in jnanam. In fact, jnanam starts when karma stops. And that is why he was emphasizing that sannyasa ashram is meant for jnana yoga. All your karma, upasana stops along with vanaprastha ashrama. When you come to sannyasa ashrama, no karmas are there. There are some karmas which are sannyasa related karmas, which the guru may give to the sannyasi. But shastric karmas are all gone. That was it. So here he says that in the case of this pounding of this paddy, this rice, karma is involved, physical karma is involved, but in the case of Atma, Anatma, Viveka, there is no physical karma involved. So that's a very subtle point he's making, telling those people, see, this is what it is. I've been telling you this, there is no karma involved in Atma, Anatma, Viveka for doing, right? So it is not an actual sanyoga, but it is a mithya sanyoga. Right? Why mithya? Because Atma is asanga. That we must keep in mind. So this is ajnana krita sambandha, one which is born out of ajnana. But Krishna says, in the Gita, Kshetra Kshetranya Sanyoga Tadvidhi Bharatarshava. So same thing is saying that this Kshetra and Kshetranya Sanyogam is, understand that to be a Mithya Sambandha. It is there is no direct Sambandha, right? It's a union of matter and spirit, right? And it is a Ajnana Krita Sambandha. So here the pounding is in the form of what? In the form of vichara, inquiry. That is what we are doing. We are doing vichara, and it's not one day vichara or 1 month vichara. Continuous vichara till you get convinced about this. Go through all Upanishads, go through Bhagavad Gita, right? Some few Prakarana Granthas, all are vicharas only. Ultimately, you will end up in what? Mahavakya vichara. Do Mahavakya vichara, do Mananam, Shravanam Mananam, then do Nididhyasanam. Internalize that understanding, that knowledge which you have got, push it into your subconscious mind. That is important, because all the wrong understanding is which is there in the subconscious mind has to be removed and replaced by the right understanding. And once it is firmly settled in the subconscious mind, that is what is called jnana nishtha. So till you achieve that jnana nishtha, this vichara process has to continue. As Swami Paramatmananda says, after doing one round of nididhyasanam, if you still do not feel, go and do shravanam again. Continue this process, shravanam mananam nididhyasanam, till you reach the stage where it becomes absolutely clear. You have totally identified yourself with your all this panchakosha and this sharira traya. This ahankara, mamakara is totally gone. So this is the indication, final, that aham brahmasmi, I have completely understood and I abide by it, means what? This is what it is. Really you abide by the knowledge of aham brahmasmi. That is what it is, right? So he has said yukti avagatah, right? What he says? Panchakosha in it, Shuddhatma, sorry, this next one, right? Yuktam, yeah. So he says, Koshahi yuktam yuktadvaghatatah. So this yukti, what is this yukti he is talking about, right? Avagatatah, he says, here yukti means Atma Viveka. So Atma Viveka means I am separate from this Atma. Sorry, I am separate from this Anatma, the Sharira Trayam. What is the yukti you can involve for that to understand that? So he says, his indication, he doesn't say in so many words, but we have to understand. There are two kinds of nyayas which are used, which are seen also. Anvaya Vyatireka. First one. What is Anvaya Vyatireka? What he says, co-presence and co-absence. Isn't it? So, during Jagrat Avastha, Stula Shariram is there, I am there. Atma is there. So, Stula Shariram is active. During Swapna Avastha, Stula Shariram is not there, isn't it? Sleeping, it's not active, but I am there. Because I am the one who is rendering reality to the Swapna Avastha. Then during deep sleep state, even Sukshma Shariram is not there, completely laya, but I am there. How can say I am there? Because when I wake up, I know that I had a good sleep. And also, when I wake up, what I say, I had such a deep sleep that I did not know what was happening. So not knowing what was happening is also knowledge. Knowing what was happening is knowledge. Nothing is happening, or not knowing what was happening is also a knowledge. And that knowledge of not knowing, where is this sitting? Who observed that? How do you know I did not know anything when you wake up? Because Atma is there even when all the three shariras are gone. They are sleeping. In fact, you are in Karma Sharira Avastha basically. But Atma is still there. So, when Stula Shariram is there, Atma is there. Stula Shariram is not there, Atma is there. So, Anvaya is all these. Stula Shariram is there, Atma is there. Sukshma Shariram is active, Atma is there. Karana Shariram is active in deep sleep state, Atma is there. This is Anvaya. Right? And what is Vyatireka? When all these things are not there, Atma is there, that is Vyatireka. So Anvaya Vyatireka, by using this yukti, this logic, we can find out that there is some entity which always is there irrespective of the three sharirams, whether they are active or not. Once we understand that, then we will know that there is some entity. Let us not call it Atma or whatever it is. There is some entity which is different from this. Shastra call it Atma or Brahman or whatever it is, right? You can call it X, Y, Z also. It doesn't matter. But if everybody starts calling it by different names, there will be confusion. So Shastra says you call it Atma because that is the self. Atma means the real self. So that is why I say, so you exist in all these avasthas. You are the sakshi of these avasthas. Understand that this is the yukti. So this Anvaya Vyatireka methodology is the pounding we have to do to understand this, right? So because of this, I have to be, because I am existing in all three states. And when those three states are not there, also I am existing because I am the sakshi of those three states. So I should be different from those three states. This is the logic. If I am the same, then I will also, if I identify with Sthula Sharira, when Sthula Sharira is sleeping, I will also sleep. I don't know Sthula Sharira has gone to sleep. I will also be sleeping. So that doesn't happen. So this is called Anvaya Vyatireka. When I am, they are there. When they are not, I am there. This is Anvaya Vyatireka, right? So the Sharira Trayam comes and goes, whereas I am there continuously. So this is another Nyaya which is used, which is called Vyavrittihi Anuvritti Nyaya. Vyavrittihi means that which comes and goes. Sharira Trayam is Vyavrittihi, I am Aham Atma is Anuvrittihi. Always there. Right? So this is another, these two logics are used in the Shastra to explain this, Atma, Anatma, Viveka, the process. Right? So these two Nyayas is what Adi Shankara calls as the Yukta. Right? So when this Yukti, with this Yukti, we have to do this founding job. Right? So every time I say, I am not the body, one bang. I am not the mind, another bang. Like that, not physical bang. So this banging should continue till all the koshas are removed from our cognitions, from our understanding. Okay? So then coming back to the sloka, he says, sloka, koshaihi yuktam antaram atmanam shuddham vivicyat. Right? So vapuhu we have already seen, it means sharira, right? Vapuhu. So vapustushadibihi means sharira rupa tushadibihi. And for the jiva, the tusham or the husk is in the form of the sharira. So vapurupa tushadibihi koshaihi yuktam antaram shuddham atmanam vivichya. So the internal and the pure atma, vivichya means separated. May you separate. Vivekam kuryat, right? Vivicyat. So, like what? Yata tushadibihi yuktam tandulam. Vivicyat tatha vapustadibihi koshaihi yuktam atmanam vivicyat. So, in this manner, one should separate the Atma and Anatma. And in Mundaka Upanishad, yeah. There is a very nice mantra. Gata kala panchadasha pratishta devascha sarve pratidevatasu karmani vijnanamayascha atma parevyaye sarve eki bhavanti. So when you remove this entire thing, this panchakosha, right? Karmani Vijnana Mayascha. So when you remove this Panchadasha, Gata Kala Panchadasha Pratishta, Pare Vyaye Sarve Eki Bhavanti. Everything, there is only one, right? There is only one, which is the real thing. Sarve Avyaye Eki Bhavanti. So that is what is the message of this particular shloka. So we have to separate the Atma and Anatma. That is the whole process of this Vedanta, Jnana Yoga. And that is what is Atmanam Antaram Shuddham Vivichyat. This Shuddha Atma, this Asanga Atma, which is there inside. Inside means it is, we will see that later. I mean, not physically, literally inside, right? Which is in and through, which pervades, that has to be separated. And that is why this word antaram could cause a question mark. Because this misconception is there with a lot of people. They understand Atma to be all pervading. But if you ask them where is Atma, they will say it is inside. And then they will go Hridaya Kasha and all that, they will say that is there, not said in the Taittiriya Upanishad and other Upanishads. There is a Hridayam, there is a Akasha, in that Akasha this Atma is there. All this they will say, and simultaneously they will also say that this Atma is Sarva Vyapi, it pervades everything, the whole body. So this word Antaram, which is used in the Shastra, is a cause for some confusion, genuine confusion. So in the next sloka, he deals with this confusion and explains how you should understand this word Antaram. That sloka, I think we almost time. I will read the sloka and then continue in the next class. Okay. Sadha sarvagatopyatma na sarvatra vabhasate buddhavevavabhaseta swacheshu pratibimbavat. So this he explains exactly what is this meaning of this Atma being Antara. In this sloka he explains. So still we have got about 7 minutes, isn't it? Okay, I will start explaining this briefly, then we'll continue in the next class. We still got time, right? So as I said, in the previous sloka, he used this word Antaram, which could cause some confusion, right? So, in order to remove that confusion, this sloka is being said. And if we remove that, then we can understand this sloka. So, let us just recall, in the previous sloka it was said, this Atma was compared to a rice and this Anatma was compared to the husk, right? Atma is within, Anatma is without, outside. So we have to remove the external koshas and discover the internal Atma, right? So these words, internal and external and all, can create lot of confusion. The word internal can be understood as deep within. As I told you, Hridaya, in the heart, Hridaya Kasha, right? We have seen in, I think, Kathopanishad, Hridaya Kasha, Guhyam and all that, right? So one may try to see the Atma deep within, and he may try to actually meditate upon that Atma which is there. So if you're told, do Nididhyasanam Aham Brahmasmi, his orientation is what? Whenever you are doing meditation, you need a object of meditation. Because he's untrained. No guru has told him. He has just read some books, especially written by some Western scholars. Right? They will say Nididhyasana meditation. They don't know the difference between the yogic meditation and Vedantic meditation also. So meditation means you must have a alambana, you must have an object of meditation and you meditate upon it. Now in this case, what is the object of meditation? Atma. Where is that Atma? Because you can't see it. So you visualize an Atma in the Hridayakasha. There is a heart. In that heart there is a space. And in the space that Atma is there, Amrtamatra. All that he will recall. Very vivid. Oh, I know exactly what is this Atma looks like. Because Upanishad says Angushta Matra, it is only size of this. And so when I actually do like this is the Hridaya, right? Shape of the heart. And this Angushta is inside. This is Atma. This is where the Atma is. I tell you, this is not a joke. Lot of people have got this understanding of this Atma's location. That Atma is located in the Hridaya because the Upanishad says so, Hridaya Kasha. So he will start meditating. Close his eyes, sit in all postures described in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita by Bhagavan Krishna. Close his eyes, half closed eyes and all, and he will visualize the Hridaya, then a space in the Hridaya, then Angushta Matram Atma, he will meditate on that. This will happen. This happens with a lot of people. That is why you have to go to a guru to understand what this is all about. Right? And that, if he does that, what will happen? Nothing will happen. He may probably fall asleep on trying to meditate on something which he can't visualize. He may be able to visualize, but that doesn't exist in the visualization. He may fall asleep also. Nothing will happen. So, then after some time he will say, I meditated, nothing happened, so there is nothing called Atma. That also conclusion he may come to. So, all these kind of problems, it could lead to this kind of an understanding. So, even though the word here, antaram, means internal, we have to understand this word as adhisthana atmakam. It is the foundation of everything. Right? So, antaram here means adhisthana rupam. Bahihi means adhyastam. Yat adhyastam tad bahihi iva. Yat adhishtanam tat antahi iva. There is actually nothing bahihi, nothing antaram. Because all these are all what? Mithya. What is there is only one Atma, that's all. All appearances are all, for all that adhishtanam is the Atma. That is what is called antaram here. So we will continue this seeing this word meanings in the next class. I will stop here. Say the prayers. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all. Any questions, any doubts, any views? Raghu is there? Is there very much? ராஜகோபால் சென்னை எப்படி இருக்க?
சென்னை இங்க மழை இல்ல.
மழை நின்னுச்சா? இன்னும் 12 நாள்ல மறுபடியும் வரப்போகுதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கா.
இன்னொரு சைக்ளோன் ஃபார்ம் ஆகுதுங்கறா. அது 2-3 நாள் ஆகும் போல இருக்கு. அது எங்க வரும் தெரியாது.
Raman, you are also okay. No problem with your place. Good. Very good. So, then we will meet on next Wednesday. Next Tuesday. Sharia?
Okay.
Thank you, Mama.
Okay, thank you. Hari Om.
Bye. Hari Om.
Hari, இப்ப வருது இல்லையா நம்ம பேர் என்ன our Bhuma and Kuberan. I'm not seeing them. Are they not in town or something? Any idea?
Dr. Kuberan is not feeling well.
Okay. I mean, nothing serious, no?
No, not that serious. They were in hospital and they have come back also.
Okay, fine, no problem. They are not to be seen there. Anyhow, right then. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you, Mama.
Okay, Mama. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Hari Om.
Namaskaram.